Live with studios in Midland and Odessa, you're watching CBS7 First Alert News at 9 on the CW West
All
Texas.
of the growth in the United States, which is roughly about 20% of the world's growth, will be coming right here from the Permian.
Today, industry leaders and experts gathered in Midland for the State of Oil and Gas Luncheon. We've got a recap of what they talked about coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Lauren Munt, and we start tonight with continuing coverage. Last month, water erupted on a Crane County ranch. Much of the flow has been documented through drone photos taken amid a no-fly zone order. Around the leak, about 30 acres of Bill White's land are ruined for the foreseeable future. Layers of salt will kill any vegetation in the area, but what he's really worried about is the freshwater aquifers under his property. The flow was first reported in early December and documented by vocal critic of the Railroad Commission, Sarah Stogner via drone. The RRC requested a no-fly zone over the flow soon after, which has been extended until June. Though Stogner has openly addressed that she is defying it, throughout White has struggled to get updates from the commission about his land.
The reason I wanted to do this story is because I don't think something like this should happen and nobody knows that this is going on. I don't know what's causing it, so obviously I don't know what needs to be done to fix it, but if nobody knows it's going on, then I know it won't be fixed, and so somebody needs to know that this is happening.
White believes the leak on his land is now under control. Today, the Midland Chamber of Commerce hosted the 7th annual State of Oil and Gas Luncheon to review some of the biggest topics throughout the industry heading into the new year. Topics that were discussed included the growth of barrels of oil produced per day, how critical the Permian Basin is to the oil industry, and just how much we produce out here, as well as how the supply and demand for oil rely on two things. The first is the economy, and the second, by how big the population's going to be.
Population is expected to grow to 10 billion people, and even more than that, it's going to be the largest growth of the middle class in history. And as such, oil and gas is going to be needed not only today, but also out into 2050.
With there being a need for energy for quite some time, Corey doesn't see a shortage anytime soon. And we're tracking crime now, where the Odessa police are asking for your help in finding two suspects that stole an elderly woman's purse. Take a look at the video. You can see the man and woman walking out of the Dollar General on 42nd Street. According to OPD, the couple stole an 81-year-old woman's purse when she put it down in a grocery cart while she was shopping. The purse had her iPhone, $190, credit cards, and other personal documents. If you recognize this couple, you're asked to contact OPD or Odessa Crime Stoppers. In Ector County, the sheriff's office says that they were involved in a lengthy chase that spanned across Odessa. Here's a look at the viewer video of the chase flying down Yukon, heading west towards Andrews Highway. This all happened after 6 o'clock last night. Sheriff Mike Griffiths tells CBS7 that the chase began near 54th Street in Martin and ended sometime later on West Loop 338 between Yukon and Highway 302. Steve Hargrove was the suspect behind the wheel during this chase. He is facing a long list of charges, including evading arrests, and he is also wanted on multiple warrants. Sheriff Griffiths says that DPS and UT Permian Basin Police also assisted with the pursuit. And just today, Texas DPS were on another chase near Golder and 46th Street. A trooper attempted to make a traffic stop, but the driver didn't pull over and drove away. Eventually, he lost control of his SUV and was caught. 19-year-old Carlos Rivera was charged with evading arrest and possession of a controlled substance. We're going to talk your weather forecast now with meteorologist Justin Lopez. Justin, what are we looking at today?
Well, Lauren, we got a couple of things going on right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning, and then we also have a dense fog advisory. Looking at the radar right now, zooming in on our severe thunderstorm warning, we can see that the counties of Crane, Pecos, and Ward, and the cities of Goyanosa, Crane, Grand Falls, and Imperial are all going to be impacted by this storm system. So you can see right here, that leading edge, that's where we're seeing the winds are gusting up to 60 miles per hour. That's been what's prompted this severe thunderstorm warning. There also has been a report of pea-sized hail out near Fort Stockton, but that has already passed through that area. Looking at the West Texas Futurecast, there is a potential that this storm system may make its way to the Midland Odessa area. We will keep you updated as to whether or not it maintains its severe weather or severe thunderstorm status, severe warning status, But otherwise, if not, it'll just make its way through our area and push off to the north by the early morning hours by around 4 or 5 in the morning. And we'll be left with dense fog. As you can see right now, if you're out near Odessa, Big Spring right now, you can already see that dense fog. But these areas that we're seeing in the gray, we're seeing visibilities at or below 1/4 of a mile. And looking at those visibilities right now, the visibility map, we have down to 1/4 of a mile visibility in Odessa and 3/4 out near Big Spring. Now we are expecting this fog to eventually burn off by the time we get to the midday tomorrow, but until then, please exercise caution while you are driving out on the roads.
Thank you, Justin. Today, the Midland City Council voted 5-2 on a master development agreement to build a 4-star hotel in downtown Midland. But the decision didn't come without controversy.
If you want to fund a project that's not going to make money, that's up to you.
We shouldn't risk taxpayers' money on a venture that should be able to stand on its own.
This is probably highly inappropriate, but Mr. Corrales, you either need to get on board and help this community improve or resign.
Residents for and against this hotel asked for the resignations of council members Dan Corrales and Scott Dufford. Midland residents also mentioned that the $45 million that the Midland Development Corporation will invest is too much. They also mentioned that there was plenty of other projects like road repairs and park upgrades that should be a priority. However, after hearing from over 20 people and debating amongst each other, the City Council voted in favor of the agreement.
It's a wonderful opportunity for Midland, but sometimes there are people that disagree. But at the end of the day, I think the City Council did a wonderful job of coming together to find a solution that benefits Midland long term, and we couldn't be more excited to be bringing this project to downtown Midland.
The 2 votes against the hotel came from Councilmember Dan Corrales and Councilmember Robin Poole.
Why do we put the taxpayer on the line? And we're putting the taxpayer on the line, maybe it is 35%. Maybe it's the 60% when I said 125 million and we're giving 60. We'll find out in the end what the actual number is.
The total cost of this project is estimated to be around $169 million in total. And we're looking in the community now. This Thursday is the last Thursday in January, which means it's the annual PIT survey day. But what does that mean? PIT stands for Point in Time, and it's a count taken on a single night in January to record the amount of people experiencing homelessness in Texas and across the nation. When it comes to the PIT surveys, there are 3 types: sheltered, unsheltered, and observation. People taking the sheltered survey are usually individuals that stay nonprofit organizations such as Crisis Center and Family Promise. Unsheltered individuals are typically the people you may see sleeping on the streets, but that's not the most important part of the survey.
Numbers are not as important as what we're going to do with them afterwards. How are we going to get them the help and the guidance that they need to get out of this situation? Treat them like people, not a number. They're a person.
Not only is this count done to estimate the numbers so that HUD is able to grant sufficient funding, it's also meant to serve as a snapshot of still rising issues of homelessness across the nation. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled the federal government can remove parts of the razor wire barrier installed by Texas to keep migrants from crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. The new development comes as congressional negotiators continue to work on a bipartisan deal on border security and immigration policy. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
Razor wire installed by the state of Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border can now be removed by the federal government following a ruling by the Supreme Court. In a 5-4 decision, justices sided with the Biden administration, allowing the barrier's removal while the legal challenge plays out in lower court.
Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire so that they could do their jobs.
The decision comes as Senate negotiators close in on a bipartisan deal that would impose tougher immigration and asylum laws in the U.S.
Negotiators are still working through some outstanding items. All of us want to reach an agreement, but it is very important that we get this right.
Republicans have pushed for significant limits on asylum and stepped up deportation efforts in exchange for funding for Ukraine and Israel. But timing on a vote remains unclear.
I just don't know that it gets to the point of confidence level that would allow a yes vote yet. Certainly, I want to be a yes vote, but I'm not a yes vote today.
Mustafar Shishti, a senior fellow with the Migration Policy Institute, calls the talks a good start.
Congress hasn't been able to agree on anything bipartisan on immigration in more than 30 years. So just the fact that there is actually a bipartisan effort to deal with an aspect of immigration problem is worth noting.
A sticking point in negotiations has been the president's ability to let people into the country through humanitarian parole. Since taking office, President Biden has used immigration parole at a historic scale, admitting 1 million migrants into the U.S. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Now for a look at today's top headlines shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. You can see all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website. Just go to CBS7.com. And still ahead, CBS News projects that former President Trump wins the New Hampshire Republican primary. As his lone competitor, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley says she's staying in the race. We break down those numbers next in your election news on CBS 7 News at 9. In your election news, CBS News is projecting that former President Donald Trump will win the 2024 New Hampshire Republican primary, defeating former UN Ambassador and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. But Haley has vowed to stick it out. Skylar Henry caught up with the voters of all stripes at the polls.
CBS News projects former President Donald Trump the winner of New Hampshire's Republican primary. CBS News early exit poll data shows New Hampshire primary voters are unhappy with how things are going in the country, including 1/3 who are angry about it.
Things wouldn't be happening the way they are right now if we had a Trump administration right now.
Republican primary voters say the most important issues are the economy and immigration, a top driver for Donald Trump supporters. The former president greeted a vocal crowd in Londonderry this afternoon.
There's never been a movement like this, Make America Great Again, in the history of our country.
His voters are eager to see him back in the Oval Office.
All of his policies when he was the president coincided very well with my foundational beliefs.
But former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley has been drumming up every possible vote in this independently minded state, and many voters found her message appealing.
She just adds a very optimistic energy to the room, and that's who we want to lead our country.
Just some stability and normalcy back to the party, I think is so important.
Haley has said regardless of the outcome, she intends to push through to next month's contest in her home state of South Carolina.
This race is far
from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
I don't care if she stays there. Let her do whatever she wants. It doesn't matter.
CBS News exit polls show New Hampshire primary voters are more moderate and independent than Iowa caucus goers, with about 1 in 5 making up their mind in just the last few days. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Manchester, New Hampshire.
CBS News also projects that President Joe Biden will win the Democratic primary in New Hampshire. His name was not on the ballot, but supporters mounted a write-in campaign on his behalf.
All right, everybody, we have a storm coming down our way, and we actually have a severe thunderstorm warning issued by this. We'll talk about all the details and more coming up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's meteorologist Justin Lopez.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, we need to give you a first alert weather update because we do have a severe thunderstorm warning making its way to the Odessa area right now. As you can see, we have a significant weather advisory actually right now. It's going to be up for Crane, Midland, and Upton counties. And yes, Odessa is in the path of this storm system. It did create some pea-sized hail. We've already had a report of pea-sized hail, but the real thing that we want to see is will be on this leading edge. It'll be winds that are gusting up to between 50 and 60 miles per hour. As you can see, wind speed is up to 55. And we now have a report of quarter-sized hail with this storm system. It is up until 10 p.m. Now looking at the West Texas Futurecast, it will be making its way into our area just after 10 and making its way through Midland, Odessa between 10 and 11, and then making its way toward the Big Spring area by around midnight and before it pushes off to the north and starts to dissipate. But until then, please exercise caution around this storm. Now looking at the dense fog advisory that is also creating, as we have a lot of low-level moisture in our area. All these areas in gray, we have a dense fog advisory up until 9 a.m. Wednesday morning for visibilities down to a quarter of a mile or less. As you can see, Odessa right now, we already have very dense fog here in Odessa, and our visibility is at a quarter of a mile, same in Midland, and right there in Big Spring, they're looking at 3/4 of a mile, 0 miles out in Hobbs. So this fog is very, very dense. You need to be careful as you're driving in it. Now, our Futurecast visibility is showing that this fog is going to persist with us until early morning hours, even around 7, 8, 9 in the morning before it starts to burn off by around midday. But overall, too, when all this storm system is said and done, we're going to be seeing rainfall totals of about or actually so far today, we've already seen 0.02 inches of rainfall in the Odessa area. We've gotten up to 0.22 inches of rainfall out there in Fort Stockton, up to 0.3 inches in Presidio, and we're up to 0.14 inches of rain out near Marfa. We are still expecting to see about 1/10 of an inch more here in the Midland Odessa area and up to about 1/4 of an inch still out there near Alpine and Fort Stockton. Now, what's causing all of this? This storm system right here, that dip in the jet stream, that is our upper level low that's causing all this rain and moisture to be brought into our area. But behind it, we have a ridge of high pressure that's going to help us start to warm up in our temperatures after the storm system passes. Now, our temperatures right now, 47 in Odessa, 46 in Midland, 45 in Big Spring. For tomorrow, we're going to see highs in the 50s and 60s, 58 in Odessa and in Midland. We'll reach a high of 62 out near Fort Stockton, 64 in Pecos. Presidio, you'll see a high of 67. Now, skies will start to clear as we go throughout the day, starting from the south and then eventually working its way up to the north. But for the morning hours, expect to see a good amount of cloud coverage and fog. Now, after all this is said and done, our temperatures will start to stay a little bit more closer to normal in the upper 50s and low 60s for the next 10-day period.
Still ahead, a heartwarming basketball story out of Montana. It's coming up right after the break. Across the nation, a middle school basketball game that one community in Billings, Montana won't soon forget. A 7th grade student's basket triggered an outpouring of love. Spencer Martin has the details.
Shoot basket.
When you shoot the basket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shoot what? And dribble.
And dribble.
Yeah, and make sense.
Today was the first time he's ever made it on the first shot.
A heartwarming moment in Hardin for those who watched 7th grader Kellen Shy make the shot. But this isn't the first time. His mother, Christina, says since 5th grade, players and coaches have helped Kellen get in the game and score. He also plays football. He's on the wrestling team. Anything that involves having fun with his friends.
He just has some really good friends that just are always making sure that he is included in whatever they're doing.
While Kellen's shooting and scoring is great, it's the scene afterwards with all the other players, coaches, and fans that's truly special.
It's his celebration with his buddies afterwards, and it's always fun to see the other team, players on the other teams come celebrate with him too. And he loves to be that center of attention. But yeah, his relationships with those kids are what makes his world go around. Oh, your heart. Yeah.
My life, yeah.
Yeah. Your life.
Yeah.
Your life with your friends is your favorite part.
Yeah, when my friends salute me.
When they're excited for you. Yeah.
Keelan's mom says it's heartwarming to know that there are so many nice kids out there. And still ahead, one small step for man, one giant leap for Oreo kind. We have the details of the sweet opportunity next on CBS7 News at 9. All right, before we go, Oreo has kicked off 2024 with an out-of-this-world announcement. It comes with a new cookie and a chance to join Oreo on an expedition where no cookie has gone before. Starting today, fans and aspiring space explorers can scan the QR code on a pack of Oreo Space Stunt cookies for entry details to embark on a 6-hour journey to the edge of space.
Wow.
I would go to the edge of space with some Oreos.
Definitely. I mean, but right now I'm going to be going to the edge of this thunderstorm with Oreos in my hand, hopefully. But as we're coming to our final weather right here, we got the significant weather advisory issued for our area right now, Midland, Odessa. It looks like it's going to be more of an Odessa story right now, but Crane County, Midland County, and Upton County are still a part of this. Crane, McCamey, Odessa. This storm system has already created pea-sized hail in some portions of our area, and right now we're still getting a report of quarter-sized hail and gusts that are up to 55 and even 60 miles per hour. So we will keep it, and we'll keep y'all updated on how the storm system is progressing through our area.
Sounds good. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching CBS 7 News at 9 on the CW. We've got more news coming up tonight on CBS 7 News at 10.